Yeah, so we'll be starting with a very basic application today. It's not going to be very detailed class. It's just an introduction. So from next session onwards, we'll be looking into problems in depth. But today's class, it's going to be easy. You need not copy the code which I am writing here, because I'll be sharing the files with all the participants. So you need not be copying the codes, but if you feel anything is important in the course, you can mention it there. So this is my first home terminal, and I'm going to write a code here. So the first code which I will write is, just a second, somebody wants to join in. Yeah. So my first code is print, and I want to print, just a second. It's very disturbing when people don't join in on time. So yeah. Yeah, so the first code or first statement that runs in Python is the print. So whatever in the universe you want to print, you just need to write print. Let's say print, I love my country. COUNTRY. So if you print anything, it will give you the print statement. So this is the basic. So this is the first and foremost basic code of Python, where you type print statement and it is going to work. So let's say I can print anything. So let's say I love my city, or whatever you want to write, you can print it. So this is how the print statement works, and this is the I feel this is the smallest one-line program that I can write in Python. So why Python? This is the question which people ask me very often, and some of the reasons for the Python is that okay, I am unable to hear your voice. Is it so? Like, are others able to hear me? I got a message in the chat box. Can anyone confirm?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear.
Okay, you can hear me, right? So yeah, that's fine. So basically, yeah. So this is the, okay. Give me 1 second. I will make somebody else as host, because it's very disturbing. People are just joining in. So Najirul, you are fine, right? If I'm making you host.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Okay, please admit others who are joining in the group, because it's causing a distraction to me. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, fine.
So yeah, so this is the first statement, print. So with print, you can go ahead with anything you want. Like, so now I assume most of you are from science background. Even if you are not, it doesn't matter. You know what different types of numbers are, right? So one is 10, and this is not equals to 10.0. Remember, both are different numbers. So in Python, we call it as integer. So this type of number is called integer, and this type of number is called float. And let's say if I want to write 10 in quotes, that means I want to indicate this as a string. So what do I mean by string is that I love my country 10 times, let's say, right? So here 10 is not a number. 10 is a part of a character. So that's why I love my country 10 times. So if you write something in double quotes, it becomes a string. So that is how the number systems are defined. I will come to it in details, but first warning is that you should be careful what type of number you are dealing with. You cannot add a string to an integer. That you should be careful. You can definitely in certain circumstances, but in general, you cannot. You need some kind of conversion from string to other number characters. Now, let me come to this. What is this hash? So let's say I will remove this part, and when I write something in hash, it means that it will not be executed in Python. Whenever I write something in hash, let's say this print statement, I put it in hash. So, and if I run it, it will not be executed. So when I'm running a code, if I write anything in Python, let's say whatever you want, A, B, C, it doesn't going to matter. It will just ignore it. So this is, whenever I use a hash mark, it's not going to work. Now this is called a single line comment. Now if I use multi-line comment, whenever I write, whenever I use this is known as multi-line comment. So this is an apple, and then if I use this, it's not gonna run. Okay, so there is a, this multi-line comment has an issue. So when you are using multi-line comment, it so here the comment is not working. I just need to check it. So just so this is a task for all of you. You just check what is a multi-line comment and get back to me on this in the next session. So usually multi-line, when you have to comment something for a large segment of the code, you usually use a multi-line comment. So now let me come to the data types. What are the basic separate data types that we have in Python? So as I have given you a little bit of introduction before, what are the different data types in Python? So let me introduce you again so that it becomes clear to you what are the different types. So give me a second. Yeah. So first is string. So first data type is string. So string is a data type where if you write x is equals to hello world. So this is a string variable, a string data type. So x is a string, right? How do you check? Let's say you do not know what type of data type it is. So then you can write type x and then go ahead and it will show you str. Str means string. So this is the first data type that we have. Next is we have integer. So integer is basically x equals to 10. So this is an integer. So if I check the type here, it should show me integer. Next is my float, or yeah, float, float. So if I write x equals to 10.98, so this is basically a float. If you check what is the data type of it, it should show you float. So this is float. Then we have several complex numbers. So complex numbers are numbers which lie, well, I expect all of you know what complex numbers are. In case if any one of you don't know, just email me. I will send you the details. What exactly is a complex number is. So basically in mathematics, we write complex number z equals to x plus I y. This is the form of a complex number. Here we do not use I, here we use j. So this is the standard notation. Whenever somebody is writing j y, j indicates, usually we write yj. So j indicates the complex number and y is the we call it modulus. So if I write z equals to 10j, so j equals to 10j is a complex number. If you check the type here, what is z? It should show you complex. Yeah. So z is a complex number. So this is how you define complex number. Trust me, in other programming languages, it is slightly difficult to write complex number directly, but here it's very straightforward and simple. Now next I'm coming to a data type known as list. So what is basically a list? As you know from the name, list means list only. So we use a third bracket, or so let's say I have a list of fruits: apple, banana, and then I have let's say anything else, orange. So this is what I call it as a list. So if you check the data type of this, it should show you list. Yeah. So this is how we define a list. Let's say you can have list for anything. It need not be fruits. You can have list for cars. You can have list for anything you can have, and it can have a number of characters. So let's say pomegranate. If my spelling is wrong, please forgive me. So we can use list in this format, and this is how the list is defined. Well, there's something else, we call it as tuple. So tuple. So tuple and list are not very different, but at this stage just note down that this data types exist. Some of you might think that I'm not getting exactly what is happening, but we will come to all this like uses separately in my subsequent classes. I will try to make it more fluent and robust, and like I will come to the use of this in a detailed way. Yeah, so I have two questions here. All of this should be written in a second bracket. Yes, not only second bracket, all of them have different brackets. So list, tuple, and other categories will come later in this class. The bracket needs to be maintained properly. You cannot change first bracket and second bracket in these cases. So you should remember that very clearly. That should not change. So another question which I have, so string can be a number or in what? Yes, string can be anything. As long as you are defining a string as a number, you can do it. I can define a string like this. Let's say for your example, I can define a string like this. So 10.6. So in this case, it will be considered as a string. In this case, it will be considered as a float. In this case, it will be considered as an integer. So how you are writing in Python is very important. Remember that. So let's say I will use the same list here, but using different brackets. So in that case, if I do it, let's see. So if I check the typecasting, it is showing me tuple. So tuple is another type of way of defining my data. So but the string should be in inverted commas, right? Yes, you should open and close the brackets always. That's a compulsory. Then when we use bracket and which type it is, I did not get your question, so we may take it. Okay, Saurav, you can go ahead and ask your question. I did not get your question if you want. All right, we'll take the question later if that's fine. So here you can see that we have list, we have tuple, and we'll go to some other type of data. So let's say we use something called set. So set is another type of data, and see, all these different data types have different uses. It's not like the place where we can use list, we can use tuple. So it's not like that. So all of them have different uses. Again, I'm saying it's not for the namesake that I'm defining. They have different uses in different programming cases, which we will come. So set is when you define using these brackets. So remember, all these three brackets are not same as you see in normal Python, normal mathematics. Whenever you want, you use first bracket, second bracket, and third bracket. Here, all the brackets have special significance. It's not same. Okay, what is the difference between list and tuple? I'm not answering that as of now. I will show an example in my next class where you will be able to understand what is the difference between list and tuple. Lists are easy to handle, and you can like chop the list easily, whereas for tuple you have to follow a certain format. But tuples are more friendly in some kind of codes which we use. We will look all the details of this data type in the subsequent classes. It's not possible to cover it in today's class, so we'll come to that later. All of this data type I will discuss. Next is Boolean. Boolean is basically it's like true or false. So remember, whenever I define something as true or false, remember this is case sensitive. So whenever you do it in Jupyter Notebook, it will show you in green color. When I'm writing, note this color change, and this will show you in green color. So whenever I write something x equals to true or x equals to, let's say, false, so that means it can have only two values, either true or false. So in that case, it is known as Boolean values, right? So you can have, let's say, so you can have only true, false, or 0 or 1. Whenever, let's say, when do we use, I'll give an example. When do we use Boolean data set? Let's say whether there will be a cricket match or not. If I ask you, so you do not have an intermediate answer. You have only, yes, there can be a cricket match today. No, there cannot be a cricket match today. So it's in between, either true or false. You cannot have an answer in between. In those cases, we use Boolean data values. Now coming to like, there are other categories of data. but I will not be covering all the data sets. It's not required for this course as of now. I will end up with one more data type which you may need, which you will need in the later classes, that is known as dictionary. So basically, what does dictionary mean in our daily life? Dictionary means collection of different information. Like dictionary is basically English to Hindi or something. There are different types of dictionaries we use. Here in dictionary, we mean a record. So dictionaries also have a specific set by which you define dictionary. So let's say I will define a dictionary here. X is equals to, let's say, name. So let's say name of a person, and let's say age of a person, and okay, gender of a person. So let's say name. So whenever I am defining a dictionary, I have to mention the values corresponding to the that. That is the difference between set and tuple. That is the difference between set and dictionary. Set you need not define. You just take apple, banana, orange, pomegranate. For dictionary, you have to have definition at every stage. So let's say name is, I will write John something. So age is, let's say, so I put a colon and then I make a mark. Let's say age is 16 and gender is, let's say, male. So this is how I define. But let's see if I run it. Yeah. So now you can see here that my dictionary record contains all the details. So name is John, age is 16, gender is male. Whatever you want, you can add it up. So this is just like a record. So let's say I can make another dictionary for somebody else, and let's say name is Julia, age is let's say 12, gender is female. So we can put it like that, and if you run it, you can see Julia, 12, female. There's one more thing which I missed out in the earlier classes. You remember I'm using X in all the variables, and when I'm printing X, remember Python is a runtime program, or it's a dynamic program. The values get updated at every stage. So whenever you are using uh, same variable for two objects, or let's say for a dictionary or list or tuple or anything, it will take the latest one and show you the result. It will forget the previous results. So remember, be careful with that. So I don't want to forget the previous result, so I will use X and Y separately. So X is John, Y is Julia for my this case. So this is my basic introduction, and I guess I don't need to repeat this anymore. Like whenever, so now from now onwards, I will not be telling, okay, I'm defining a list or I'll be defining a tuple. Whenever I write something in this formats, remember what does this mean? So whenever I write something in this third bracket, second bracket or first bracket, you have to take it directly in assumption that, okay, a list has been defined, a tuple has been defined, a set has been defined, a dictionary has been defined. There are some more data types also which are not very used, and I think that's not very important as of now for the course. If required, I will come back to those types maybe later. Now, I have already defined something which I haven't explained, but I will come to it again. So now we'll be defining variable. What do I mean by a variable? Variable is something which you put a value. Let's say a equals to 10. So a equals to 10 is so a is a variable here. A equals to apple. So now my a, so this is also a variable. Now the question comes, can I write anything as variable? Can I write this as a variable? Say equals to 500. Can I do this? Let's see. Yes, it is a variable. So if I print, let's say this, if I print, so it's showing me 500. So that means it's a logical variable. Okay, so I got two questions. One is from Shushmita. Just as a record, can we have a copy of the commands later on? Yes, I will send this Python notebook today. To everyone, so you don't need to copy it. I will send this copy. Is there any text we can refer to it for later? I will see if there is any text or not. Usually in text it's written little complicated, but I will answer to that if I find anything reliable. I have notes, so if possible I'll share the notes with all of you. Only to the people who are regular in this session I will share with them. So but not now, like after a few classes I'll be sharing the notes. But yeah, these documents you don't need to write on anywhere. I will be sharing all these notebooks. You just need to download and just run it. You should be able to do it. Okay, so that's answers the question. So now the question comes, is there any criteria on setting a variable name? So remember, let me discuss it. It's important because many people do the mistake. Even I did the mistake when I was a student, like when I was learning Python. Some of you might know other programming languages also, like Fortran, Java, C. So there also these rules apply. Please do not put any mark on the screen. It's a request. Yeah. So first thing is that a variable is a case sensitive. So remember, age, and age. These three are, give me a second. Yeah, these three are separate variables. These three are separate variables, and excuse me just one second. Sorry for the interruption. So yeah, so these three are separate, three separate variables, as I was saying. Uh, so these three separate variables. So remember, when you are defining a variable, you must know that they are case sensitive, and that is very important to define a variable name. So that is one of the thing. Second is that you cannot use spacing between the variable. So my next point is that no spacing between the variable in the variable name. So if you write it here, so let's say I will define b, let's say apple, something like that, equals to 50. So it will show you an invalid syntax. So this is not a syntax of a variable. You should not be using spacing when you are defining a variable name. What you can do is that whenever a space is required, you can use an underscore character that is acceptable as a variable name, right? So remember, these are small points which we all make mistakes, and this is what is important, I feel, to discuss before going to the main code. Spacing is not allowed. Okay, what all are allowed? You can have a to z, any character, small to capital, any character, 0 to 9 you can have, and you can have like underscore. That's it. You cannot use anything else for this. You cannot start with a number. Let's say my variable name is 0 apple equals to 10. So it's an invalid syntax. You cannot start a variable name with a number and with an underscore. I suppose no, with an underscore you can start. Sorry for that. So you should not be using any other special characters for starting other than underscore. So that is the main thing which you should keep in mind. And now so this is what the basic of variables is, and you should be careful while defining a variable name. Now coming to typecasting. So typecasting is basically Typecasting is basically converting something from one type to another. Let's say you have an integer or you have a float and you want it into string or something like that. So how do you do it, right? So what do I do is that, let's say I have a equals to 55.69, something like that, right? So what is the data type of a? Can anyone tell here in the chat, just fast? What is the data type of a? Okay, I want everyone to, like, most of you to respond. Okay, that's correct. So it's a float data type. So it's a float data type. Let's check it again. And it's a float data type, correct. I want to make it integer. How do I do it? That's my question. So what I do is like, I take this, let's say I take another variable b equals to, I write int, inside it I write a. Now let me run it. Now if you see, b has been forcefully converted to an integer. So let me check what is the type of b here. So b is an integer. So now you can see this is called typecasting. It need not be b, even you can do it with a only. And now you check the type of a, it should show you integer. Yeah, so this is known as typecasting. You have a type of variable and then you reconvert it to another type. So let's do it for a integer type now. So let's say a is, okay, I will not be repeating that because that, is it possible to change a complex number to an integer? No, it is not possible to change a complex number because it's not mathematically valid. You cannot change a complex number to an integer. Cases, so in Python, whichever cases are possible in mathematics, it only works. It's similar to maths. Like usually a complex number, you cannot change it to an integer. You can only get the integer part of a complex number, which you can do it in Python also. I'll show it to you. So, but yes, you can convert an integer to a complex number. So it will be 55 plus ij. That is allowed, not the other way around, right? So whatever rules are valid in mathematics, the same rules are valid here also in Python. So let's take another variable. P is equals to 45, right? I'll not be using two lines. So type of P is what? Integer. I want to make it float. So again, how do I do it? Q equals to float P. Now let me check what is the type of Q. What is Q? Let me check first. So you can see my P is 45. Basically, if I print here, P is 45. Now I have forcefully converted into a float. So what it will do, it will add a 0 next to it. So that's how it's mathematically correct. So that is how we do this typecasting or type conversion. Let me give you another example. So let's say I have a number, let's say I have Q equals to, now Q is my 45.0 now. I want to make it to string. So let's say R is equals to strQ. So if I print R, it will show me R in quotes. Remember here, single quotes and double quotes are all same, so it does not matter here. So it's now in quotes, right? So now R is a string, and I said you before, you cannot add a string with a integer. You can add two strings. You cannot add a string and an integer. Otherwise, the results will be different. Let's say I add R plus P. Let's check what do we get. So it is showing me error. Can only concatenate string, not integer to string. So I can add up two integers. Let's say I have P equals to 45 as I have defined. Let's say W equals to 60. So what should be my Print P plus W, it should work. So it's 105. That's fine because P is 45, W is 60, it will work. Now let's say I have another string, W is another string. And if I want to, let's say I want to do R plus W, will it give me, how many of you think it will give me 105? Can you put it in the comment chat box? How many of you think what is the result? Can anyone guess? Anyone? In the comment box, whoever it is accessible. Okay, error. Others, I'm giving you 30 seconds to think and you can type. All right. So first of all, okay, before giving me the answer, let me do it. This is what we are getting. 45.060. Can anyone explain me why? No need. If anyone wants to answer, they can unmute them. And can anyone explain me why did I get this result? Why it did not show me error? That my first question is that why this is not an error. Can anyone answer in the audience? Any one of you, why this is not an error?
Because both of them were just strings.
Yes, that is correct. So both of them are the strings. So whenever you are adding two strings, so basically you are concatenating two strings. So in that case, you will not be expecting errors. So as I said before, remember, you can concatenate or add similar data types. So you can add string with string, integer with integer. What happens when we do integer with float? That is something you check out. I'm not going to answer this, but similar type of data types can be added or subtracted or whatever you want, you can do. So that's why I'm not getting an error, but I am not getting the desired result. Now, why I am not getting the desired results? That's the second question. What exactly happening here is that my R is 45.0. So this R value is putting here, and then it is adding the second string, which is W. W is my 60. So it's just putting it just in the side of 60. Let's say if I do it the other way around, so it will just place the string side by side. So whenever you are adding two strings, remember it is not a mathematical operation. It's just putting the two numbers side by side. Whereas if if the numbers are not in inverted quotes, then you can do the mathematical operation. Remember, this is very important. What happened when we add three strings? Okay, let's do that. U equals to all right. Now you see what is happening. 60, the first W is 60, so W is here, then R is 45, then 45, then U is 89, so it's getting 89. So if you put n number of strings in between, it's not going to matter. Let's say if you do this, you will get this. Just keep on adding up. Again, let's say you've put Z equals to I am. Okay, let's put only I am only. It will just be happening like that only. It doesn't care. That's the whole point. You add strings, it will just place the string side by side by side. It's not going to bother. It's not going to worry about mathematical expression. It's not going to care. But if you do this, let's say Q is 90, P is 43, Y is 8, Z is 9. Okay, I got 4 messages. So what is the role of plus sign? Can we use the same if we use minus sign instead of plus sign? No, plus means concatenating. So in string you can only add, you cannot subtract. Will I get a recorded version to understand? Yes, you will get the recorded version. Okay, W is needed to write 60 to get the actual result. I did get your point, Shuchandra. I did not get your answer. So yeah. Okay, that's fine. I think there's no important questions here. Yeah, as of now. Okay. Yeah, Tyag, that's fine. I will send you the recording of this. And yeah, so for, okay, I have another question. P equals to 45, W equals to 60, P plus W is, no, P plus W I did not do. P I converted into string. So that's why, but why, so why W plus P is not equals to 60.05. All right, I got your question. So if both are, it depends on your data type. So I did not add P anywhere in the context of this. So if P is an integer, W is if P is a string, W is a string, no matter what format it is there, it will put up directly. So I did not get your question. This means we only use plus sign in. Yes, that is correct. Trishna Chakravarti, can you ask your question if that's fine with you? I did not get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
P equals to 45,
Yeah.
W equals to 60.
Mm.
When you add P plus W,
Yes.
we get 45.060.
P is
We have
45.0, not 45 in that case. If P is 45, then you will get 45 and 60. I will show you again if you have the confusion.
But
Yeah.
what is the proposition of the decimal point?
What do you mean by that? Can you be a little more precise?
When W plus P equals to 6045 point something, why not 60.045?
Seek
The decimal
0.0. No, it's
in the
not working in a decimal. Wait, you got me wrong again. It's not working in. Okay, I will show an example. I got the confusion. So P equals to 40.5 and W equals to 89.2, right? So print P plus W. See here, it's not that it is putting decimal by calculating the results. P was first, so that's why 40.5 is printed first, and then W is the next one, so it is getting 89.2. So that is how it is happening. It's not, it's just putting the two strings together, that's it. So let's say if I put it like this in the other way, it will be in the reversed way, that's it. 89.2, then after that it will put 40, then it will put 40.5. Yeah, so what, is it clear or just
yeah,
tell?
clear.
It's clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does not depend on what decimal precision you are using. When you are using string, it will just add up two strings. Okay, so let me show you another example. 87. Okay, let's say 87. And print, if I do it, Q plus P plus Y plus Z. In this case, it will be an addition. It is going to be an addition. It need not matter which of the variable you are putting where, but it's going to be an addition. So using the plus operation on the string just concatenates them, I think. Yes, you are correct. So I guess that removes the confusion from there. So yeah, Q equals to 90. And so in this way, if you put Q later and P here, still the answer is going to be same. It's not different as in string, but let's say one of them is a string. Then it's not going to work out because they are all different data types, right? Now let's say one of them is a float. What happens? Still, it will perform the operation. So in standard mathematics also, when you can add 2.5 to plus 1, you can add 2.5 plus 1, but you cannot add apple plus 5. So remember, whenever you are using Python, remember the common sense and logic behind the normal mathematics that you usually use. It's the same thing that we are carrying out in a syntactical method. So this is allowed, but that is not allowed. Remember that, right? let's put a minus here, and whatever is there. Here also it uses the same BODMAS rule, whatever you have learned in your school and colleges, whatever it is. So it works the same way as whatever you have learned. So D for brackets, O for off, M for multiplication, and D for division. So it's the same thing. Now there's two things which I will tell you. So one is, let's say, okay, complex of P, what this will give. So you can see P is an integer. When I want to forcefully make it a complex number, it's the same logic. This is the integer part plus 0 into complex number, right? So this is how the things work usually. But let's see whether this same thing will work or not for z equals to integer of q. So then if you see here, what happened? So it just took the modulus of that number. So it did not perform any proper operation. So usually even I got confused with this result. Why is 90 here? Anyways, so it's not giving you the integer values which I was expecting, 43. So yeah, all right. Okay, I'll take the questions after the session. That should be fine. So yeah, this is something I'm giving you a task on. Maybe in the next class we can discuss. Is it possible that can I convert a complex number to its integer parts? Just check it out. It's a task for all of you. I'm not doing it out here. So it's not simple in the first place, as you have seen now. It's not working. So there's something else which is there. There's one more thing which I would share you is this operation. So you all have seen this, right? And you know it by the name of percentage. So we call it percentage, but this is not percentage in most of the programming languages. This is known as modulo operator. What it does is like it gives you the remainder. Let's say 57 or 67. If I divide by 3, okay, let's say if I divide by 367, what is the result? I get 22.3333 something, right? That is normal. Now 22 into 3 is 66. So my remainder is 1. So we say remainder, if we divide a number, so if we divide a number with another number, and whatever is left after the division, we call it as a remainder. I think you all know what remainder is, or reminder is, some people even call it reminder, but I don't know what's the exact form. So this is how it said. So if you want to find out the remainder or reminder, whatever, you use this operation. So 67 modulo, is it gone? Yeah, 3. So if you do it, you should get 1. So this is this operation, this percentage helps you to find what is the remainder of a division. You take it for anything. So it's 0. Wow, that's great. So whatever number you put it will show you what is the remainder. Let's say we do it for a different big number. So this is how this operation works, and I guess this is very important. So I have discussed most of the important basic background that you need to start off with your proper Python programming code, the basic things that you need to learn. Now I will be coming to another point here, which is little bit interesting. So let's say hello world. So hello world is a string. Let me write a bigger one. Python code. Now remember, in Python we say something called indexing. or maybe people call it by different names. But as you know, name matters some cases when you are going to give an exam, but usually you should know what actually the terminologies mean. So in Python, we defined the first letter. So the first alphabet here is as 0. So this is how we define. First is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I'm writing something here, let's say HELLO. So my H position is 0, E position is 1, L position is 2, again second L position is 3, O position is 4. So when I'm writing hello something, hello world, I'm a Python code, it assumes that it's a it's a like all these numbers have this memory bits already stored. Now if I want to know the size of this A, let's say how long is my code, how short is my code, what is the length of my string, we call it as a string. So if you click here, it will show 30. So there are 30 characters including spaces in this Python code. Let's say I want to know what is the fifth character of this. How do you do it? So A of, let's say I want to know what is a 0. So 0 is H. Let's say I want to know what is at second position. So at second position it is L. I want to know what is at fourth position. It is O. So this is how you can, so spacebar is also counted in the memory bit. Yes, spacebar is also counted. So let's say what is my spacebar? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Yeah. So let's say what is the A of 6 here? A of 6. All right. Oh, it starts from 0. So 5 is a space bar. So remember, this is how you can travel the entire string, right? Now, let's say I want a particular segment of this code. I want, let's say I want the word hello, or I want the word Python. Let's say, okay, let's go for a big one. I want the word Python. Tell me from which, at what position is P in the chat box? At what position is the word Python? Mm, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, let's see the answers. So, okay, I'm getting a lot of 15, 19, 18, 20. Let's check. Remember, you have to start from 0. So I'm giving you one more chance. Think about it. H is 0. So first word is your 0. It's, so remember. All right. So if I want the word Python, let's say, okay, let's see what 18 gives. Even so 18 is a gap. So those of you who have said 18, it's not a correct answer. All right, 19 is the correct answer, as you can see, 19. And if I want the word N, let's say, then how much? 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So here it is 24 here again, and I should be getting N. That's great. So let's say I want to extract this from 19 to 24. What will I do? I'll just write 19 to 24, and then I'll run it. So it will give me, okay, I made a mistake, so it should be 25. So yeah, so if I take it from 19 to 25, it will give me what is len? Len is the length of the total string. Like how many total alphabet spaces, everything is there. Everything is included in the len. So len means length of the entire string. Okay. Yeah.
But this is very interesting. It is in Python, n is indeed 24. Then why do I need to do 19 to 25?
So here what it does is like in Python, basically if you, I will reconfirm it here if somebody is. So when we are defining a string, we start from, so it's like what you do is that your first string and to your last string position plus 1. That is how you chop the string. So your 19th position is this. So 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And then one more extra memory allocation is given to the Python. So that's how it is defined. The syntax is defined here. So it takes one extra bit for Python. So all right, I'll give you a better example. So how many alphabets how many words are there in Python? Let's say there are 7, right? P, Y, T, H, O, N. So there is 6 alphabet, 6 letters, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So
Excuse me.
yeah,
I think you have written it up to 25, so it is counting an extra space that is after A.
is it so? No, I don't think so. No,
Okay.
it's not that case. It's not that case. So usually the syntax is defined when your starting point and your ending point plus 1 with the extra memory allocation. So that is how it is done. But the exact why the extra memory allocation is done, I will get back to you on this. So why for Python we need an extra spacing, I will get back to on this. The exact reason for allocating the space is something which I don't remember now, but that's a good question actually. Now, yeah, so now let's say I don't know what is at the last of my code. So by this way you have to keep on counting it, right? So which position is 24, which position is 25, something like that. I don't know. Let's say I want to know what is the position at the last string, or what is the value at the last string here at E. So what do? I just put -1. So -1 basically gives me the last character here at this position. So if you put it -2, it is D. If you put it -3, so it goes in the reverse way. The same thing that I have done, it goes in the reverse way. So if you want to approach the string from the front, you start with 0 and go ahead. If you want to approach the string from the reverse, you start with -1 and then go backward. The same thing is valid here also. If you want, I'm just showing you a dummy string. So wait, if you want, let's say, so you can see here that from -1 to -1 I'm going, and it's not giving me the entire character. So that's not something what I'm expecting. So yeah, there is all right. So this problem I did not see in Python 2. It's good that I pointed out someone. So I'll get back to on this, but usually when you write a sentence it in this way, you get the characters in between. So here's -1, -2. So it's just taking the character, one character just shifted to it. So O, and then you are getting at 5. So let's say you have it at 7, and then you get it like this. So so yeah, I'll definitely get back to on that, because could you just
What
mute
happened when
yeah.
we write a third bracket -2 to -9?
No, you are it's
Yeah.
no, it's a wrong thing, because it's wrong because -9 position is before -2, right?
Okay.
When you are defining the position in terms of negative coordinates, so this is basically in terms of minus coordinate, it will be -29, right? H will be -29, I guess, or 30, sorry, -30. In terms of minus coordinate, it starts from minus bigger number to a minus smaller number. So that's why when you are defining in terms of negative coordinates, your minus coordinate should be before uh, the lower minus coordinate. That's how we define it. But yeah, how do you pick up the string from the extreme end is something syntax which I'm not getting it right now. So I'll come back to it in the next.
Just as a curiosity,
Yeah.
Is it possible that it also starts with 0 with a minus, like, because -2 is becoming O instead of D as we expected from the syntax, right?
So -0 and
This is
0 are
interesting.
same. Oh, wait, what's your question? Can you repeat?
So if you are, so you said that -1 should be E, right?
Yes.
So -2 should be D, whereas it is giving us, when you are saying -9 -2, it is giving us CO. It is not going up to D. So
Yeah,
that is the confusion.
that's the point, right? So if so in the previous case also, when you have seen, when we are doing from 2 to 10, it requires, if you want to go to a fixed position, then you have to mention the coordinate next to that, right?
Okay.
There's an extra memory allocation. The same thing applies. So
Right. So then how
Yeah.
do I get the last digit, last letter?
yeah, that's the confusion. So it's not taking -1. So I will get back to the last
Yeah,
digit
okay.
problem.
Yeah.
I will make a, there's some small syntaxical change that has happened. I didn't
Sure.
notice it before. So yeah, that's
Sure.
the,
Okay.
yeah, I'll get back
Fine.
on this, but it should work. Like so if you want to go, okay, let me try it once more.
Sir, is there any way to get the string in the reverse way?
Oh yeah, you can get it, but there are multiple ways to get it, but I'll come back to that. But yeah, you do not need to write it separately. There are fixed codes and commands for which you can get the any string which you want. You can get it in any way you want it. That is possible. Anything you can do with the string. Regarding string, we'll have an entire session, so in that I will discuss. So just for this case, just to show you, if you want to make it completely in uppercase, you, all right, so, oh sorry, you don't need to mention the string here. So okay, so if you want to make it uppercase, it just takes it. I don't remember the exact code for reverse, but Python is very helpful, so I suppose this should work. No, reverse is something else, but there is a command for reverse as far as I remember. In the detailed of Python course, we'll use it. But usually strings are, maybe strings are very interesting to work out, but to be honest, in my research and all, it's mostly we deal with numbers and arrays and lists. So those are the basic major chunk that you actually require while developing a code or something like that. Strings are important, of course, but strings are basically for a beautification purpose more than any scientific goal it achieves. But yeah, that doesn't mean that we are not going to learn string. That's not the case, but we'll have a complete session on this entire strings, what all strings can do, what all limitations we have, what all the special features, how to reverse, and regarding the -1 also, I will get back to you on that in the next class positively. We have another thing. So let's say, so these are like if you put it lower, it should give you the entire string in a lowercase, and there are different types of like things that you can do with strings, but I'm not going to strings details in now, because I feel there are some more other details that are required to be covered up for this course, so that before we can go into strings in more details. So I guess that's what I wanted to share with all of you as of now today. So if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Sir, why we are getting WORLO in the uppercase and lowercase?
Because I did not run the A, that's the whole point.
Oh.
So yeah, remember, this is a good thing. If you make a change, make sure you run it. Otherwise, it will not take the like if you make change, it's not going to be automatic, right? So you have to run the code every time you make any change in the particular space that you are doing it. Remember that.
Every time we write a line, we must run it.
Every time you write a line, every time you are making change in the line. So let's say if I want to make a change in the line, then you have to run it. And it will show you what is the number of runs you have done for a particular code. Yeah. If you have a question, please ask. I think that that will like help others also, I guess. So yeah, you can go ahead and speak. That's fine.
I know the typecasting one more time.
You want me to do the typecasting one more time? Definitely. So what is typecasting again? Okay, I will redo it properly. So let's say as I said before, I have three different kinds of, not three, there are many, but there are different. And, so yeah, so basically there are different types of data types, and so first one is your integer, second one is your float, the other one is your complex, the fourth one is your string. So it sometimes happen that I need something to convert to a string, but or maybe I need to convert something to an integer. So we use typecasting to convert something from one format to another format. What do we usually do? We use typecasting. So let's say I want to convert a type of something. Let's say P is an integer, right? So if I type of P, so it will show me integer. Now I want to make it float. What I do is that P equals to, I just write float, F-L-O-A-T, and then I write P. And then I run it. And then I just check it, what is the type of P now. It's float. So whenever I want to convert one type of string, or not string, one type of variable to another type, I use typecasting. Now let's say I have the S, right? S, let's say I want to make this as a string. So P is equals to str P. Now print, not print, type of P. So it will show you string. So if you print it P now, P is in double quotes. So you can see here what actually, why is there's a 10.0, because I have converted it to float in the previous step. That's why the 0.0 is there. So if you want to do some mathematical operation, then you can, you need the particular format. Let's say, okay, the best example is I want to check something if it is divisible by a particular integer or not. In that case, 10 and 10.0 are not equal, because your main, how do I explain? Okay, the best example will be this. 8 by 3 is 2.66. Now I want it as integer. So it's 2. So that is why we use typecasting. Whenever we want a particular type of value, whenever we want an integer, or wherever we want something else, so that in those cases we use this conversion to do it. Now remember, I can only add integers and floats freely. There is no bindings in that. I cannot add an integer with a string, right? Because they are of separate data types. Whenever let's say P is equals to, within quotes 5, Q is equals to, within quotes 7. So now they are both strings. So if I do it like print P plus Q, it should show me 57, because they're strings. They're just simply being put together. Now, if my P is an integer, let's say, in this case, it will be showing me 12. So it depends. If your thing is a string, it's a string. So in that cases, it will put two of them side by side. If it is an integer, in that case, it will do the mathematical operation. Remember, right? So that's one of the things. Okay, one more example I would show you today. Let's say a equals to, so whenever so all these things that I have shown, I have given the input manually. I have decided my input manually. If you want the user to decide the input, how do you do it? So it's very straightforward. Input, enter a number, A, let's say. So whenever you run this, it will ask for you an input. Let's say 5. You want to give a space here, you can give and then put a colon and then run it. It will ask for a number. So let's say I want to take 2. So I have a question at the end of this small exercise. Enter another number. Let's say first number it will take as 5. Second number it will take as, sorry, 4 and 5. So it's now. Now let's say if I add A plus B. So I'm getting 45. Can anyone tell me what should I do to get the result 9 in the audience?
Because of inverted commas, it is considered the number as string. So that's why it is concatenating. So maybe the
If we write enter
inverted comma should be removed, like data type should be in an integer.
No, I didn't get your point. What change should I make in this code?
enter an integer.
Input, after input, you should type int, integer. So that will become an integer instead of a string.
Okay, after input, I will type here, right? Here you are saying?
In the bracket.
Inside the bracket here.
I'm not sure. Like,
No, I'm just
I
telling.
think integer should be added. Integer should be added because it is considering its input as a string.
Okay, that's correct. Any other answer?
Can you typecast A and B to an integer and then maybe you can add it?
Okay, that's yeah. Others, any more suggestions or anything you feel like? It's okay to give wrong answers.
If we write int a instead of a.
If you write int a instead of a, okay, let's try it. Let's not make assumptions. So, all right. It's an invalid syntax. Okay, so that's not going to work, right? You understood? Okay, any more suggestions or anything you feel like?
A is equal to int, then bracket input. Like before, it should be integer, and then we can give the input. Like, so the command will go by integer.
All right, this has got some issues. Okay. Okay, so you want to put integer where? Here? Where?
Int first, before input. Like
Okay.
A is equal to int, and then bracket input.
Okay.
And one more bracket at the end to equal, like make it equal. Maybe, I think it will work.
All right, let's check. Yeah, that's it. So I hope you understood the motivation of this code, or why I showed you this code is that do not assume anything in Python. If you things may seem very normal, but they are not. That's my first thing. Secondly, whenever you are using any variables or data, always check what type of data it is, whether it's a string or integer, before performing any mathematical operation. You must be very, very careful with that. If you do not do that, you may end up with wrong result, because let's say this is a very large number, right? And you will see 84 and you will think, okay, so that's that also looks like a number, right? So this mistake I have made myself, so I don't want you people to repeat while you like learn the programming or learn the code. So that's why yeah, that's why I want all of you to be careful with that. No, you cannot do a equals to int a plus. Once you have performed the operation, then you cannot do it. That's the whole point. So yeah, any more questions do you have?
But while you were performing the operation a plus b, there we could have written int a plus int b. That would be give the same result,
Okay,
right?
let's check. Let's check it. So let's say 5 and 7. So
No, not int a plus b, int a plus int b.
oh, in that case it should give. Okay.
Plus int b.
Yeah.
This should also give 12. Yes.
Yeah, this will definitely give, because it follows the logical reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
You have two separate strings. You are converting the strings individually.